This time on Rad Video, we talk about enlightenment and who would be the most enlightened skateboarder. What would enlightenment mean in the world of skateboarding? Let's figure it out. Welcome back to Rad Video, a channel about skateboarding where I answer your questions on this series, Ask Rad, and I play Tony Hawk games with zero stats and torture myself. Sometimes I do other things as well. I've got a handful of questions for you today. The first is from Skate Barf, who says, if you do a nollie back 180 over a hubba, would it be alley-oop both ways? Like if you are approaching the hubba frontside or backside, it would still be alley-oop both ways, right? No. So the way that it works with spins, if you were to do it stationary, there's a direction where you'll kind of naturally go. And it's going to be awkward talking about it in nollie because board slide and lip slide are not the same way as they would be in other stances. But if you were to do a nollie back 180 stationary, you would pop and you would kind of land this way. You would kind of drift backwards with the pop and the spin. If you're really careful, you can pop straight and spin kind of late. But I'm saying, like, if you just kind of casually do one, you're going to push off the nose and you're going to spin behind you. So to travel forward with one is the hard way. So if you were to approach a ledge front side, nollie up and over it like a board slide and then go farther, that would be the alley-oop direction. The easier way would be like a, approach backside like a lip slide and then go further that way. So to clear the popping truck first on the spin is another way to think about it. That one might be a little bit easier to conceptualize. Okay, the next question is from Pedro, who says, I know it's too early to talk about Skate 4, but what do you think the story will be like? It's funny because when I finished the Skate trilogy, I've also realized there's a story in there. You start as a struggling am who got hit by a bus, will work his way to the top to become a skate legend and Mongol. I believe you mean mogul. Mongol is a Superman villain. Sure, there were all the business sides of things to why I wasn't announcing anything but the overall story arc for the franchise was kind of done. So when I heard they've announced Skate 4, I couldn't help myself but think about. Please don't take this question too seriously. I just want to hear your thoughts on the matter. Plus, it's always good to talk about Skate 4. So yeah, there is kind of a trilogy story. Like you start from nothing and then you like come back. You have a comeback and then you build your own brand. Like that's the Skate trilogy story, but whatever. Who cares about the story? The thing is, it's been so long since Skate 3 came out that it would be like it doesn't matter. I think they could just start over. They could ignore all the old stories and just tell something brand new. I don't think it has to build off of the old ones, which I'm grateful for. Because if Skate 4 came out a year after Skate 3, it would have had to tie in, and they would have had to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And the ramps would have to be bigger, and you'd have to be able to do a triple backflip. I think now, since it's been so long, Skate 4 could be a totally fresh and new thing. And what's that going to mean? I don't know. I don't have any hints as to what the story will actually be, but I did come up with something. Okay, so here's what I would like to see. Maybe. Hopefully they come up with something better. But so it's going to be based on reality, but not strictly tied to full realism. So you're a newly sponsored skater, and the team you skate for is terrible. As far as like helping you out and getting you jobs, like they would never pick you to shoot an ad. They never promote you. You're just kind of like the new guy, and you're not getting any traction on the team, so you never get any money. Having kind of a rough time on the team. So what you do is you try to create your own brand presence for yourself through buzz. So going to local events and doing contests and all that kind of stuff in your town, but also building up a Instagram or a YouTube or something like that. That would be a more modern twist on just the rags to riches skate story. I think it's a much different story these days than it was in the mid 2000s. I also think it would be cool if there were some role-playing pieces to it. So like if you start to do well, you can talk to your to the brand, and you can try to get them to do more with you because you can work on, show them how much of a following you have. If they don't like it, you can try to get a new deal with a different brand and kind of work your way through that. Like it's a story about you and not a company, and not you building a company. It's a story about you trying to overcome the industry. So But it's still a skateboarding game, so like what team you're on doesn't really matter. If you're really bad at all the role playing stuff, you would just have to get higher scores to beat the game. Like it would help you out to do well on that stuff, but it wouldn't be required because you can always overcome anything by being amazing at skateboarding. I think that would still work. And then so you will have a rival of some kind along the way. Maybe he steals your footage of a McTwist over a helicopter. Something like that. And then the game ends when you retire as a pro skater and you sell your brand that you have come up with as you have navigated the environment of professional skateboarding. I think that would be kind of an interesting thing to do because it's not crazy. It's not like a Shaun White type of game. I don't think that would make sense in the skate world. In the Shaun White game, you're in like a near future thing, and skateboarding like disables the devices that they use to mind control you. Like nothing weird. It would be based in real life. I think it would be really hard for them to make that game though, because they want to have real brands in there. And if it's like, hey, do you want to be in our game? The people who manage your company are the bad guy in the game. That might be tougher to pull off, but I think it would be interesting at least, and I haven't seen anyone make that game yet. So hey, I don't know. We'll see what happens. The next question is from Daniel Molina, who says, while doing a nollie, once you are in the air, any trick you do on an obstacle would just be like rolling on your regular stance. Let's say a frontside board slide is the same rotation. Is it the same logic applied when doing tricks with rotations? Like, say, a regular varial heel flip is your board doing a heel flip and a front shove. Shouldn't a nollie varial heel be a nollie inward heel flip because the rotation is heel flip plus backside shove? I actually get this question fairly often. I'm surprised by how often people ask me this, but so the question is, if you do like a front board, you pop the tail, spin backside 90, and you do the board slide. For a nollie front board, you nollie, spin backside 90, and you slide like that. So those are opposites though. Like scooping direction. To pop the tail backside, you do this. To pop the nose backside, you do that. So like an inward heel flip would be a backside shove it and a kick flip. Nollie, or a backside shove it and a heel flip. Off the nose, a backside shove it and a heel flip is a varial heel flip. So how does that make sense? To me, I don't define spinning tricks based on their direction. I would define them based on whether it's inward or outward, if that makes sense. So like a hard flip would be an inward direction spin. So it doesn't matter if it's front side off the tail or back side off the nose. It matters that it spins the same direction as the flick. So an inward heel flip is always going to spin the direction of the flick, not necessarily front side, not necessarily back side. That's the way I define that. The time when it gets a little bit tricky is with late tricks. So picture a late hard flip. So you pop the tail, and as it starts to go, you do like a front shove and flick down, and it does that. So it spins the same direction it flips. It's kind of like an inward type of flip, and so therefore you can call it a late hard flip. But if you think about it as a ollie late nollie varial kick flip, that kind of makes sense too, right? You pop the tail, you kind of push down on the nose, and you can think of it as like a nollie varial kick flip. So that can get a little bit complicated. I would always use this. In that case, I would use the direction that it would have been if you popped the tail that you did. So with a late hard flip, you pop the tail, and then it spun like a hard flip. If you pop the nose and then did it, like it would have been the opposite. If that makes sense. I may have been making your question more confusing than it had to be. But I would say flip tricks are defined by the way that they look and the way they move in the air, and not so much the direction on paper. Okay, next question is from Ali Khan, who says, do you count Chris Joslin's 360 flip down El Toro? I don't. I'm incredibly impressed by it, but yeah, he landed and then carved way over here and then stepped off. Like, it was close, but I don't consider it actually a land. The next question is from Adolf Schinner, who says, how would an enlightened person, e.g. the Dalai Lama, skate? I'm asking because I'm a technical freestyle skater with a choice of only weird tricks, and I believe that this is because of my subconscious needing to be unique which is a result of my upbringing. But if someone was Zen-like in complete balance with himself and does not identify with anything and has no personal issues, would this person ever skate? Would this person choose a specific style and niche? Or would he just skate everything without preference with the most mellow style ever seen? Okay, I thought this was an interesting one. So let's say someone who's very enlightened, very spiritual, very at peace, very wise type of person, if they were to pick up a skateboard, which seems possible, what would their style be like? Or what kind of stuff would they do? I was thinking it would have to be like a zero conflict type of thing. So I'm picturing probably not street. I don't see that kind of person jumping a fence and getting in a fight with a security guard type of, so I don't think street would be that. And also destroying property that belongs to somebody else. I don't really see that being the case. Skate parks would kind of be similar, just having all these other people around and having to like cut in sometimes to make sure you get your turn. All that kind of stuff feels a little bit at odds with just the peaceful, enlightened yoga type of person that we're thinking about. So the only thing that I could think of that would be really good for this is freestyle, but a very specific type. There's actually an individual that came to mind as I was doing this research. So the thing about freestyle is if you have a skateboard and a flat patch of ground, that's all you need. And if it's paved really nicely and your skateboard is really good, then it's you versus yourself. You're not trying to conquer an obstacle. You're not fighting with your board because you've got it set up the way that you like it. Everything you do is you versus yourself. You trying to challenge yourself, one-up yourself, and that feels like a very internalized, meditative type of, way to push yourself and to think bigger and all that kind of stuff, which to me feels like it would be really in line. So would a enlightened person be trying to do really technical flip tricks? I don't think so. I don't think it would be about trying to show off and do something really cool and catching it on camera. I think it would be more like a yoga or Tai Chi type of thing that involves a skateboard. And there happens to be a skater who specializes in that. His name is Dan Gesmer. And he had a video part in like 87 and then much later in I think 2002. And most of the stuff he does is just riding. Like all four, the part that he put out in 2002 or 2003, I'm not sure, was called Four Wheels Down, I believe, which is a misnomer because he does some manuals in it. But for the most part, it's a lot of just riding and like carving around and trying to gain speed, like tic-tacking without pulling up the front truck, gaining speed by kind of going back and forth and standing in different ways and one foot, like doing like a yoga stance while turning backwards and all that kind of thing. I think that would be what it would look like. Very peaceful, very tranquil, but still challenging to yourself, fulfilling. You can constantly, improve and grow. I think that's what it would be. If you were to get the most enlightened person, the most spiritually whatever person in the world, hand them a skateboard, come back in 5 years, that's what they would be doing. So that's my thoughts on that. If you have any questions, you can submit them through Patreon, or you can go to radratvideo.com and submit them with the form on the homepage. You can also pick up a shirt or an iron-on patch while you're there. And you can also join the channel if you want to support it that way. And you can get some emojis and other custom badges and things like that, which I think are kind of cool. But that's it for now, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.